demonstrate the power of Auto Analyst, a fully capable analytics tool that allows every employee in your company to freely interact with all of their data, allowing them to ask better questions, derive better insights, and ultimately make better decisions on their data. Now, in the last 18 months, LLMs have taken the world by storm. Models such as GPT, Gemini, and Claude have shown to be extremely powerful reasoning engines. The downside is that they can only interact with text, so they're extremely useful for content generation, such as writing email, maybe making summaries, or doing marketing automation. But whereas the LLMs are extremely powerful in generating text, they are basically useless at data analytics. They cannot add, subtract, multiply, or divide, let alone ask more complicated questions on advanced data analytics. Now, this is where Auto Analyst comes into play. Auto Analyst combines the power of LLMs with a fully capable Python-powered reasoning engine that can do complicated mathematical operations at will. The way this works is you as a user ask questions in natural text, the LLM understands what analytical needs you have, translates this into an analytical approach, and then the reasoning engine executes this analytical approach on your data. The results are fed back to you as a user, creating a feedback loop in which you can freely interact with your data, deriving insights and ultimately making better decisions. To illustrate this example further, let's say you are a store manager of a supermarket chain. As a store manager, you might want to know, how am I doing performance-wise? How are other branches in my company doing? And ultimately, how can I increase my revenue? So what you see here is the basic version of Auto Analyst. It's a standalone application that allows any user to ask any questions of the data that they supply themselves. So in this example, I, as a store manager, am uploading some performance data of my supermarket and asking the model to describe what the contents of the basic file. In a moment, you will see that the model correctly identifies all of the content that I'm supplying, showing me the total number of rows, the number of columns, and what each of the columns load. So already here you see the power of the model to understand the data that I'm supplying it. So this can be any data. In this example, it's supermarket performance data, but it can be anything from operations to finance. Whatever you supply, the model will try to figure out what is in the file, how is it structured, and what is the underlying pattern. Now, as a first step, as a store manager, I might want to know what my best-selling products are. You see that when I ask this question, the model correctly identifies that food and beverages is my top-selling product with a total sale amounting to $56,000. As a next step, I might want to ask what the performance of my branch is doing comparatively to the other branches. The file I uploaded contains data from 3 individual branches, and you can see that the model will correctly understand this data structure in the underlying data and correctly split out per branch the performance, showing me the total sales, the gross income, and the average rating for each of the branches individually. Now, as a supermarket owner, I also know that my data contains data on the client side. For instance, the gender of the purchasing clients. So as a next step, I want to dive a little bit deeper and split the performance of each branch based on this gender. Now, in a moment, you will see that the model also correctly identifies this new approach and is able to actually show the correct results for all of these branches. Now, in total, this of course shows the flexibility of the system, so I as a user can direct the analytics any way I want to go. If I want to deep dive into a very particular area, the model can do that. If I want a high-level overview of basic numbers, then the model can do that as well. So this is not a pre-programmed or static analyst. You can just freely ask whatever you want and take the analytics where you want to go. So this is, in a sense, completely different from, let's say, a dashboarding tool or any pre-made format or reporting tool that you might have seen before. Now, to go one step deeper, I asked the model to calculate the price elasticity for my best-selling product. This is a slightly more advanced calculation, so the model needs to understand what price elasticity is, what is the correct formula to apply, it needs to remember what my best-selling product is. So already this is quite an advanced analysis, and I just ask it as a basic specification, right? The question I'm asking is only one sentence long, and you will see that the model correctly identifies not only what the best strategy is, but it also remembers I should do this about food and beverages, and it correctly estimates the price elasticity to be 0.0013. So as a final step, I as a store manager want, of course, to improve the performance of my branch. So I asked the model to give me 3 specific strategies to improve the performance of my branch, which in this example is branch A. So you will see that the model not only is able to suggest a very nice price strategy for my branch, but it also does this comparatively to the other branches. So it gives me 3 specific strategies. The first one being to enhance product selection in high demand categories. The second one to implement targeted marketing campaigns. And the third one to improve customer experience and engagement. These insights are derived from the underlying data, so they're not just the generic tips that you might get from any LLMs, but they're based on the actual data and even on the actual branch that I represent as a company. So in the previous example, we used Auto Analyst to facilitate the needs of a supermarket owner. But of course, this concept can apply to a whole range of different roles and profiles. So Auto Analyst can be applied to finance, sales, marketing, operations, supply chain, and even strategy purposes. The whole point of it is that Auto Analyst is able to understand almost any data type and is able to also ask any analytics questions that you as a user might have. So the possibilities are truly endless. The way this works under the hood is that LLMs are used to generate Python code, and then the reasoning engine uses Python to execute a command. Of course, there's a connection with the underlying data, and then the results are fed back to the LLM to generate an answer that's custom-made for your user question. So in conclusion, Auto Analyst is an extremely powerful tool that helps you as a company make better decisions now. It helps you eliminate the cost of expensive dashboarding tools and makes information much more accessible to the end user. Basically, it allows any employee to freely interact with the underlying data. It also keeps your data secure and your company in control. You can use open source models that run on-premise if privacy is a top-notch concern for you. Of course, one of the downsides of the current LLMs is hallucinations, but in the way that we structure the reasoning engine allows to prevent those common concerns. So we avoid hallucination and minimize the opportunity for abuse by the end user. So if you want to get started with Auto Analyst, we usually take a 3-phased approach. The first phase is just a pure proof of concept. Here, we typically focus on a specific dataset supplied by the customer to show the technical feasibility of the system. In the second phase, we take the proof of concept into production. Here, we place more focus on the front end or integration with your desired dashboarding tool. We also make sure that the data integration is in order, allowing us to interface with your data lake, data warehouse, or any external data housing tool. In the final phase, once it's in production, we focus on maintenance and continuous integration. If you want to know more about Auto Analyst or any of our AI solutions, please feel free to contact me.